His name was Leroy, and he was taken by a community of homeless people. So as soon as I decided to film, the train that goes behind here decided to chill in the station. So if you hear that, sorry. Hey, it's Sam. Let's fail together. So, heard right, I picked up a dead raccoon. I was at work, and as I was driving, there he was, on the side of the road. And I watched him there over the course of a week, and I became curious about a topic called bone articulation. And before this, I had never heard of bone articulation, but basically it's kind of like a form of taxidermy, but instead of saving the skin, you save the bones, and then you articulate those bones. And a newbie to this, I ended up finding and connecting with someone online who was a little bit more experienced in the realm, in the world of bone articulation, and they instructed me on how to safely handle and begin to aid in the decomposition of the remaining tissues in order to save the bones. My good friend agreed to drive me to the location and bring him home. So I boxed him up, named him Leroy, and Mom was not thrilled. Dad was flabbergasted. And I had him for about a week until he was stolen. But what happened was there's a homeless camp like right next door to where I live. And you know, it's not a problem, it's not a bother, it's just that they needed a bucket and they didn't know that mine had a dead raccoon inside. We spotted the bucket on the side of the road and they hadn't had it before mine disappeared. We went down there, and so when we asked them about it and we told them that we knew what was inside, they were more than willing to give back the very stinky bucket. But unfortunately, Leroy had been dumped, and I only now have an empty bucket. But we ended up getting them a new bucket that was fresh and clean because they said that they had taken the bucket because they use it to clean up. And everyone deserves to be clean and have cleanliness in their life. I didn't think that was too big of a contribution to helping them just live. It's hot. But I learned a lot throughout this adventure, and I wanted to talk about it. So let's talk about it. Undoubtedly so, there's a club or a community for anything, and I happened to stumble upon quite a small one. All of my friends and my family thought I was crazy for wanting to learn more about how to safely pick up a dead raccoon, which is fair, but I feel like this helped prove a point that no matter how lonely or isolated someone feels, and no matter what your interests are, there is someone else out there that has these same interests that you do. And all you need to do is just find them. And there's a lot of resources for that. But this is important for more than one reason. Knowing that there's something out there for everybody is really important. Representation for people who are like you is really important. And this instance in my life made me really think about that. Think about how my friends, even though there are very few of them, those friendships are very high quality. I don't know of many people off the top of my head who would be willing to drive me to the location of a dead raccoon, help me get the supplies to pick it up, stand there while I pick it up, and then let me put that dead animal in their car. But I learned that my friend would. And to me, that meant a lot. Friendships are important, but you don't need a lot of them. Life is so short, and it is such an adventure. So having the ability and the opportunity to explore it with what friends you do have, in my opinion, is truly magical. So shortly after I got this raccoon, my dad came to visit me, And it just so happened to be that the day that he came to visit was the day that I realized that Leroy had been taken. And I was outside talking to a neighbor, so my dad arrived right as I'm asking the neighbor if they have any idea where my bucket went. So my dad was catching snippets, bits and pieces of this conversation with my neighbor. It makes sense that he was as surprised as he was. Dad loved to explore the idea of instilling a sense of awe and wonder in the world. Science is a good way to do that. And when I was in elementary school, there was a science fair, and my dad took advantage of this opportunity. Being as my parents were divorced, I only got to see my dad every other weekend, and so when he would drop us off at my mom's house, there was this long planter by the front door, and it had dirt, but it didn't have any plants. Couldn't tell you why. And one day, as he dropped us off, he waved over my siblings and myself and said, "I gotta show you something real cool." And he pulled out a pack of Smarties, Smart Tarts, and he carefully placed and planted a good handful in this planter, and he said, "Now if you wait overnight, when I come back, we're gonna dig them up together, and I'm gonna show you what happens. It's truly magical." So we come back the next morning, and we dig them up. They had gone from the size of an average Smart Tart to, let's say, the size of a quarter or a $half, because unbeknownst to us young ones, Smart Tart actually makes giant Smart Tarts. And my dad was very meticulous and careful when he came back in the middle of the night. He made sure each color was the same and each position was the same. And when we saw this unearthing, I just personally thought it was the coolest thing ever. And so I decided I was going to take this idea and use it in the upcoming science fair. That's when, a few days later, after my parents had talked, I received a letter of apology in the form of a card from my dad explaining to me that you couldn't really grow Smart Tarts in the garden. And I was devastated. And this has been like an ongoing joke between me and my dad throughout. And last night, not just one call, several, my dad was trying to get a hold of me. Y'all, my dad has a dead raccoon in his freezer. And he wanted to let me know that it was for me. So, long story short, I learned that my dad really, really loves me. He was too afraid to pick it up himself. He made my sister do it, by the way. He saved a dead raccoon in his freezer, especially for me, to make up for mine that had been stolen. And he wanted to let me know that he thought that his efforts made up for the Smart Tart scandal. I don't think he had to make it up, but I would say that the the crime is forgiven. So all of this is to say, there's something out there for everybody. You don't need a lot of friends. You just need quality friends. And the people who love you in your life are going to show you in the weirdest of ways. So don't worry about fitting in or blending. Just be you. And the people that need to be in your life will find you. You'll find your people. Your tribe is out there. Don't give up.